Everybody's alive. Well, it's been cold is an understatement. It has been this cold here in Michigan in over 20 years, maybe 30 years. And it's been something. We been trying to care for all these animals and keep everybody warm, keep ourselves warm. And it's been a tough couple days here in Michigan. All the animals are noisy, everybody's hungry. I get quite a welcome when I come out here in the morning. How's a little Tootsie Roll? Hey, you guys hungry? You guys hungry? There's Panda. Well, even with the sun out today, there's so much ice on the greenhouse plastic, it's not getting very warm in here. But temperature's 19, 20 degrees in here today, and it'll get warmer all day long in here. But it's about 30 degrees warmer than it is outside. The snow hasn't melted in here yet though. It's going to take a lot more heat to get this raised bed warmed up. Well, let's get all these crazy animals some food and water and some hay, and then we'll go around and take a look at everybody. Chickens will do pretty good in the winter time. The smaller the coop, the better. Actually, this is probably too big of a coop. And what will happen sometimes is you'll see their combs will get a little frostbite on the tips. Some of them worse than others. His is doing pretty good. The wattles under his chin there, you can see he'll get a little bit frostbitten. That does happen in the winter time, and those will heal and they'll grow back over in the spring and summer. You can see Johnny here, he's looking pretty good. His comb has actually fared really well. And the egg production is down. And the eggs do not last long out here. If they're out here for more than a few hours, they will freeze and crack, and then they just end up going to the pigs. So when we want eggs, we got to get out here and get them quick. And these ones must be fresh from this morning. So their dish, I come out here 3 times a day, give them water also. Their dish will be frozen within about 30 minutes. That'll be frozen over. They won't be able to drink anymore. So they drink when I bring them water, and then they don't get another drink till I come back out here. So it's important to get out here at least a few times a day and make sure they get a fresh drink of water. Ducks just kind of find their way into the barn for the winter, and they make little nests in the hay and the straw in here, and they seem to do just fine. Summertime, they get out of here and they're out in the yard and finding places all over the place to nest. But for now, they're just little barn ducks. We also have this little cat that was a stray. Come here. This cat was a stray when we moved in here. She was just kind of running around. She had a broken leg, hind leg, and it took us months to tame her enough where she would come up to us. But we've been feeding her out here in the barn, and now she's just the friendliest little kitty. But she finds little cracks in the stack of hay in there, and she digs in there and finds nice warm places to stay. So she's doing just fine out here. We just have to make sure she has fresh water and food. So this is the goats, one of the goats' buckets, and this has been, I just fill it up about a couple inches at a time, let them drink, and a couple times a day. And then over a week or week and a half, eventually it gets frozen all the way up to the top, and I got to take it, put it in the greenhouse, and we'll let it thaw out, and then we'll give them a new bucket, let them drink that down. The goats surprisingly don't drink that much water. They'll drink once a day, maybe twice a day. I'll come out and give them fresh water in their bucket. This bucket's ready to be replaced with a new one, but they don't really drink that often. I mean, seems like I don't know if they're eating snow or what they're doing, but I'll pour them fresh water and they'll come over and sniff it and just walk away. So I threw them a bale of hay right out in front of their shelter, so they don't have to go far to get their food. But I also bought a couple cheap tarps and stapled them up in front of their shelter just to give them a better windbreak. Man, it was, negative 30, negative 40 degrees is no joke. So they were all able to dig in there. I gave them a big old pile of straw, and they do pretty good. They stay in the shelter mostly all day long though. Oh, George and Martha. Martha is ready to be moved into the barn. She'll be giving birth here in the next month. And you can tell her fur is getting worn out there a little bit by old George, so we got to get them separated out. But I put a tarp up over here too. The pigs kind of destroyed it, but I stapled it up there at first with a staple gun, and it lasted about 10 minutes before they ripped it down. So then I put some wood up there and screwed it in place. And it looks like they ripped it right in half now. So, but it was a nice thought to keep them warm, and seems like they did just fine. Gave them a fresh bale of straw again, and they made a nice big old nest in there. And it looks like they did just fine. All right, we got the baby chicks out here. Let's see how they survived. And these guys have been doing pretty good. I've got the little temperature sensor in here and the infrared heat lamp. And it's been keeping their water thawed out pretty good. I just gave them some fresh water in there. At least, it seems to only thaw out one side when it's this cold. This little brooder has not been staying above freezing, but it's been about 30 or 40 degrees hotter than the outside temperature, and they've been doing just fine in here. In fact, one night the I accidentally unplugged the power to the coop, and I got the alert on my phone. First thing the next morning, I noticed that it had dropped below temperature, and so I was able to come right out here and make sure everything was good to go. So the little smart brooder has been working really well. The timer's been working good on that smart outlet, and the temperature sensors have been doing their job, and been able to check the outside temperature versus inside, and it's been nice to have those. This cat follows me around every day while I do chores. Couldn't get within 25 feet of her when we first moved in here. Now she's become my little buddy out here. The generator is in the garage by the door. I've got a cord plugged in, ready to go, because our whole home backup generator is out of commission, and I'm going to be moving it and redoing everything with that here in the spring. So we actually have a sump pump in the basement that runs almost non-stop from about September, October time frame all the way through about June. And we do have a battery backup sump on there, but I don't know how long that will, that'll run for. So if power does go out, I got to get that generator out quick, run that cord over through the window and plug the sump pumps in and make sure that we keep the water out of there. Otherwise that'll start flooding the basement, which would be a bad deal. Well, now that everybody's cared for in here, it's time to get some wood and head inside. Sit by the fire for a few minutes. This is the place to be when it's this cold outside. We've been keeping this thing roaring at full capacity, especially over the last few days, and we've been keeping the temperatures up pretty high. This is the oven temperature, but this just gives you a judge of how hot the stove is. And we've been keeping it fed as much as possible. We also been keeping a pot of water on the top, helping keep some humidity in the house. And this thing has been doing a very, very good job of keeping us warm. So this cold weather has been no joke. I take some of this stuff for granted sometimes. The Weather Channel always hypes things up, polar vortex and cold and all that stuff. Well, yesterday here in Michigan, it was colder at night and during the day, regular temperatures and with wind chill, than it was at the North Pole. And so when you think about that, that's a long ways away north of here. And this polar vortex, this whole Arctic weather that came through here, it was pretty serious. We had an alert last night, emergency alert went out to everyone in the mid-Michigan area. Consumers Energy had a natural gas pumping station fail or had a fire or something like that. They had to shut it down, and they asked everyone in mid-Michigan to shut their heat down to 65 degrees. They were afraid, and they still are, they said to do that until tomorrow actually, that their storage tanks are going to run low and people could start to be without heat. Of course, we're not on natural gas here, and so that doesn't really affect us. But it's just an idea of how serious it has been here. People die in this kind of weather, and animals die, and you really have to be careful. One of the great things about having this wood stove is no matter what happens, power can go out, and we still have heat. We can still cook. We can even get buckets of snow or ice from outside and melt that and have water. And so we'll always weather any kind of weather or power outage here, which is nice. But this weather has been pretty serious. So we're looking forward to pulling through and out of this cold weather. It's supposed to be 50 degrees in a few days. And so it's a huge swing, and that's pretty common for Michigan. But it'll just mean it'll all be a muddy mess. Now we're all warmed up. I'm gonna head back out, check on some of the animals again, and give them some fresh water. The frost-free spigot has been working great. Even when it's been -30, it still works just fine. So I'm very happy about that. I don't know what I'd do without this thing. Three times a day, get a drink. This cold weather has been no joke, that's for sure. But thankful that we're just about through it. Today is about the last day of the real cold weather, and tomorrow's supposed to be a little warmer, and the next day a little warmer. So all we got to do is just keep everybody cared for through a few days. The rabbit hutches have been a challenge. We've hung these burlap sacks in front so that they can make sure no snow blows in there, and the these waters, they freeze up after about half an hour, the tips do. And so we rotate these out 3 times a day, make sure that they all have, you know, fresh water to drink at least 3 times a day. It's about the best we can do, I think. And I put this plastic over the top to close in the sides as well, just to make sure that no air was, you know, snow blowing in and stuff like that into their cages. Keep these guys as dry as possible. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the kind of the look through, I don't know, just kind of morning chores and daily chores here during the cold temperatures. This has been just a crazy week for us. School has been canceled now for 4 days. First we got a foot of snow, or about 12-14 inches of snow, and then it got super cold, and so the kids may not have school this whole week. And so everything's been canceled. Community events, you know, dances, basketball games, everything's just been shut down. So it's been kind of an odd week for us. We've been home, we've been together, and it's been a great time though as well. Keeping that fire fed, and it's been nice and cozy inside. So hopefully you guys enjoyed tagging along today, and don't forget to hit thumbs up on the video and subscribe if you want to follow along. Baby animals coming soon. We got pigs giving birth here in the next 30 days, and then we'll have goats giving birth a few months after that. So look forward to all the new life here on the farm coming up in the spring. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one.